I've been a classroom teacher. I have been an academic coach. I've been a social emotional coach. I have led professional development for the gifted department. I have led school-led professional development. I just had a wide range of experiences. I fell into the focus of gifted and talented education my first year teaching when I had a student that ended up being identified as gifted, but she was well above the rest of my students. And I kind of noticed I had a knack for really seeing kids and differentiating for them and meeting their needs. And from there, I became the GT teacher leader for my school, which just meant doing all the testing and identification and supporting teachers in differentiation. And I'm also really passionate about social emotional learning. It's something that I feel is part of who I am. I notice people's energy and it's just kind of ingrained in who I am. And that has always been a really big part of my classroom, even before it was a thing. Which leads us to the current reality of social emotional support for gifted students. So current social emotional curriculums are designed for neurotypical learners and do not address the emotional intensity, complexity, or asynchronous development of gifted students. There's also no nationally recognized social emotional curriculum for gifted students. When social emotional learning is offered, it is created for neurotypical students, which means it feels irrelevant, condescending, and oversimplified for our learners who have abstract thinking or high sensitivity and just different needs. Social emotional learning is again, created for neurotypical learners, so it's often surface level, focusing on behavior management rather than focusing on identity, self-awareness, and the emotional nuances that gifted learners recognize and feel. Gifted learners are frequently excluded from social emotional instruction due to their academic needs. A lot of people say, oh, they're high academically, so they're fine, or they're already advanced academically, they'll be fine. That the social emotional aspect of gifted learners is often forgotten. And educators and families struggle with access to meaningful student-facing social emotional resources, which results in piecing together support, potentially without proper training, time, and resources. Welcome to Kaleidoscope Learning. This is the name of my small business that I'm starting and my logo for now. And the first project under Kaleidoscope Learning will be a social emotional curriculum specifically created for gifted learners. And the curriculum is different than other curriculums out there in that it is a developmental continuum. Its learning is personalized and it's not one size fits all. So it's very personalized. We'll talk about that later. There's cultural responsiveness and representation. It includes language, diverse examples, and opportunities for students to reflect on their personal, cultural, and community identities. Along with that, it's built with identity, inclusion, and voice in mind. It requires them to think on who they are, reflect on who they are, how they think, and what shapes their identity, which includes the culture, values, and their lived experiences. This curriculum is metaphor-based, allowing them to explore feelings, identity, and relationships with depth and creativity. It requires metacognition and identity explorations. They begin to build the language around their strengths, their challenging, and their evolving sense of self in supporting their self-awareness, confidence, and emotional clarity. And it provides emotional vocabulary and regulation tools. So it supports their self-regulation and their emotional literacy and resilience by helping students make connections between their thoughts, feelings, and bodies. So the goals for this curriculum is to meet an untapped market need. It is scalable, student-directed micro-learning opportunities with a low lift for adults, built with identity, inclusion, and voice in mind. It is created and backed by research as far as the CASEL framework, which is a social emotional framework, depth and complexity by Kaplan, which is a gifted strategy, and depth of knowledge, which is also a a gifted strategy. It's emotionally safe, developmentally responsive approach. It's fulfilling deep, unmet social emotional needs for gifted learners. And it supports a growing understanding of what giftedness is within the gifted learners and those that support and spend time with them, with the goal that all gifted learners, including those from marginalized, multilingual, or twice exceptional backgrounds, feel seen, valued, and safe to be their authentic selves.